the community of Warner and Glashin and Montjoy, where Kenisha actually resides, and also as the Minister for National Security and Home Affairs. It puts me, of course, in a very peculiar and unique situation. Let me give the public the assurance that the Honorable Prime Minister, notwithstanding the fact that he's out of state, is in direct contact and also is in full command of the situation, and also the acting Prime Minister, Honorable Ostry. I want at this juncture to actually express in the most profound manner, as I've done before, my commendation and gratitude to everyone who has been involved in this national cause and national effort. Firstly, to actually find this innocent child, Kenisha, and as I've said before, a child that young, her natural habitat is, of course, the home setting. And her mother has gone to the great beyond. Last night, and her father was actually at the scene, and we spoke, and is very much touched by the situation, of course. And as I've said before, everyone with a human heart is horrified by that situation. And your government, working in concert, of course, the police is responsible for law enforcement and issues of enforcement. But we have a number of people who have been involved in that effort. We have been joined by the customs, forestry officers, scouts, and the list goes on. And Dominicans, not only from the communities of Maho and Warner, but from Roseau and other parts of the country. It's very, very, very elating to see that level of effort and to deal with something that is disturbing. And as I've heard from our Prime Minister, that the state will ensure that all the required resources, both in terms of human resource and whatever aspect of resources, will be made available to ensure that this young child is actually found. We're hopeful that she's okay. And as I've said before, every minute that passes by puts her in a worse situation. And all of us, most of us in here, are parents, and just put yourself in the situation of your child being out in the elements, held, against her will, is absolutely disturbing. So I want also to, as I've done before, to on behalf of the government, to express my gratitude to the French authorities for assisting us yesterday with a helicopter, and actually took some images of some structures. And the Chief of Police is here this morning to give an update as to what the police has been doing without compromising the matter, and to give the public the assurance that the police is in full command. And of course, as I said before, the government, of course, will spend our effort in ensuring that everything that the police needs is provided. Chief?
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Raymond Blackmore. Let me recognize the presence of the Deputy Chief of Police, Mr. Lincoln Corbett, presence of the media. I am here to give an update on the abduction / attempted murder of Kenisha Etienne and her stepfather. At about 11:30 p.m. on Tuesday, 7th June 2022, suspected lunatic Kian Darrell Alexander, male adult of Bells, entered the dwelling house of Laura Joseph Bruno and abducted 12-year-old Kenisha Etienne. Laura Joseph Bruno is the adopted father of Kenisha Etienne, Bruno attempted to rescue Kenisha when Alexander attacked him with a cutlass, inflicting serious injuries to the head and face. Laurent Joseph Bruno was transported to the Dominica China Friendship Hospital, where he was admitted. He is reported to be in a stable condition, receiving medical attention. Alexander fled the scene with Kenisha and went to the bushes in Warner. The Maho police responded to the report and immediately commenced investigations into the matter. The police, together with the members of the public, mounted an extensive search in the Warner area for Kenisha and the suspect. A total of 65 police officers, 4 officers from the Customs and Excise Division, 6 officers from the Fire and Ambulance Services have been deployed to conduct the search. A command center was established in the community of Warner to coordinate the intensive search, which is ongoing. Dr. Fevouye Drago and a medical team of 6 are assisting at the command center. Searches are ongoing in Warner, Springfield, Layu Park, Belfast, Bells, Syndicate, Sylvania, Sultan, and surrounding areas. During the searches, some items to include a belt, one side of a pair of slippers, 1 nightgown, and a teddy bear, believed to be that of Kenisha Etienne, were recovered in the Warner area and collected by the police. During the searches, the police have been utilizing several drones. The government of France supported the operation by providing the services of a helicopter yesterday afternoon. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force have been receiving tremendous support from various government agencies, private sector, and members of the public. We are deeply grateful and thankful to the various government agencies, private sector, and members of the public for their tremendous support and assistance in response to this matter. I must also say that we've been receiving tremendous support from the media as well. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force continues to solicit your support. Any information as to the whereabouts of the suspect and Kenisha Etienne should be forwarded to the police immediately. Kian Daryl Alexander should be considered armed and dangerous. He has been terrorizing the community of Bales over the past 2 weeks. This is indeed a very tragic event, and the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, in collaboration with various government agencies, private sector, and the general public, will do all what it can to rescue Kenisha Etienne and capture Kian Alexander. The search must continue until this matter is resolved. The police force is dealing with this matter with utmost urgency. I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Questions? We now invite questions from you, the media.
I would love to speak on the misinformation that we see going around. Within the past couple of hours, we've saw countless messages. The suspected is in Sultan, different places in Roseau. What can you say to members of the public regarding misinformation and how it's helping the ongoing search?
Well, it's rather unfortunate with the misinformation. But the police has a responsibility to respond to every bit of information that they have, especially in that matter. And so I will still urge the general public to furnish us forward the information, whatever information they have in relation to that matter, forward it to us immediately.
Mr. Commissioner of Police, good morning. I heard you in your opening statement, you mentioned that you stated that it's a case of possible attempted murder. Would you have information thus far to suggest or to make such claim thus far, attempted murder?
Yeah, the attempted murder is in relation to the stepfather.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Point taken.
Yes.
And okay, point taken. Secondly, in terms of the clues or the items found thus far, would you say that these items are part and parcel of the evidence that you guys are seeking?
Yes, we have it in custody as exhibits. We believe it's Kenisha's items, and we have it in our custody to use as evidence.
I heard that you said thus far 63 officers have been deployed in the community. 75. Okay, thank you. I'd love to find out if additional assistance from the regional security force has been engaged. If we do, currently Martinique has been engaged with French communities in some of the helicopters and all of that. Presently, is the ministry making any attempts to speak to other Caribbean countries or international countries for further assistance?
I have, in terms of numbers, I've activated another 40 officers. So the 65 and the 40 will bring us to 105 officers. I have cancelled all rest days. There will be no off for police officers until this matter is resolved. As it relates to regional support, I spoke to the RSS this morning with view of them helping us with their surveillance aircraft. In dialogue with them, they informed that the vegetation is extremely dense, and so the aircraft would not be of any good assistance to us. In relation to the French, the French helped us yesterday with the helicopter, and I have instructed that we make further contact with the French this morning. The intention is to deploy officers more rapidly in a closer area, providing that we have identified a location of the suspect.
We are also hearing the calls that yesterday we heard from one of the officers that if being mindful that he's armed and dangerous, so if you see him, protect yourself. We know that a lot of civilians, they are out on the ground trying to assist. Your message of caution, some people, they might let rage or anger get the best of them if they do happen to find him. What would be your message in an instance if he is caught? What would you urge the public to do in that instance?
I have there are 120 civilians, to my understanding, also in research now with the 60 officers. Yes, the suspect is armed and dangerous. He has had a history of mental illness and violence. If they so happen to locate the suspect, they must approach him with extreme caution. And I can say that a citizen of Dominica has a right to defend himself or herself. And you do that using reasonable and justifiable force. So if you find yourself in a situation confronting the suspect and he attacks you, you are entitled by law to defend yourself. You just have to use reasonable and justifiable force in doing so.
What would you say are the chances of finding her now that it has been 24 hours since she's gone missing, based on Dominica statistics?
Please repeat, what is it?
What would you say are the chances of finding her now that it has been 24 hours based on Dominica statistics?
It's a very troubling thing to me. Every second, every minute that passes on puts her in a very bad situation, I must say. We take that into consideration, and I just hope that all is well with her. She is safe. She's still alive, and we're moving on with that search very intensively.
Can you give the public like a setup of the search teams, like groups of 10s or?
We have several groups. We have several groups, as I said in my earlier brief. We cover in a very wide area. You have bells. We consider in syndicate. We have Layu Park, Warner, Sylvina. The entire interior, the jungle is very heavy. So we have groups spread out in various areas to see what we can do.
Just to say, reference to the question that I was asked with, so with the support from regional institutions and organizations. Chief of Police and myself have been in constant dialogue with Deputy Commissioner of Police, who is on leave, but of course showed up for duty from yesterday at the Command Center, and I would commend you for that, Deputy Commissioner. And you know, discussion, of course, is to ensure that we continue to have dialogue with the French, so that we can have additional air cover and surveillance, so that we can actually identify some of the structures in the general area that the suspect may be, so to speak. In terms of additional assets, as of 5 o'clock this morning, we have, of course, gotten the service of a trained dog handler, along with the dog was actually trained specifically for tracking, etc. And that is why the elements of the clothing items that were actually found is critical to that, because the dog would have to do to ensure that it could be used, so to have an idea as to, and from what I've been told and advised, that the clothing items were identified as belonging to the young lady by her family members. So that is some indication as to the general location that the guy may be. And also to say further that to actually issue a warning and a call to parents, especially living in that general location, which of course is known to be a secluded area, and sometimes the children are left unsupervised going out, to be very mindful that your children should be supervised and should be closely monitored, because this dangerous person is considered to be in that general location, so to speak. What we shall ensure from the government standpoint and from the ministry standpoint that the boots required on the ground are provided. That is why during my discussion this morning with the Chief of Police and last night at the Command Center, that we had to ensure that additional police officers are made available. And insofar as the question you asked just now in terms of the security and safety of the civilians who are part of this exercise, and it should be known from what I've been advised and what I've seen on the ground myself, and what the protocol ought to be, is that at all times that the teams, the various search teams, are led by the police, and to ensure that we do not allow civilians by themselves to go out and in search of this dangerous person, etc. The intention is to use all necessary means to apprehend, and firstly to ensure that this young lady is found safely, and to apprehend the suspect. And that is the this issue has the total attention of the ministry and the police by on a whole. And as I said, I want to reiterate that we shall not rest within the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs until this young girl is found. It's a situation whereby I feel like putting back my uniform again, and be quite honest with you. And it's a very disturbing situation, and I myself am inclined to be part of the search myself, because we have a responsibility as a country and to find this young person. And any repeat of something like that should get a similar attention, the high level of intensity, to find this young innocent child safely and to apprehend this guy. I'm not sure, I cannot speak to his state of mind. All I can say is God help it, you know. But I think the entire country, the entire populace, irrespective of political color, shape, actually, with anyone with a human heart, will be perturbed by that. So we have 2 days going, and you asked a very important question just now, and this young child is out in the elements, in the company of someone who was very, very dangerous.
I guess the final question would be, I'm sorry. I guess the final question would be, or if anybody else, but like you rightfully said, Minister, is in terms of preventing this from happening in the future, is the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force today pledging that they are now going to stamp down on getting the vagrants, maybe not off the street, but in terms of calls over the past few days, we're not pointing fingers, but you hear people say they've reported such instance and they feel like they're being let down. Do we have the commitment that such instances, they will be taken more seriously?
If I try to understand your question, you asking in relation to the vagrants?
And those we've been dubbed as a lunatic. So in instances such as this, will greater attempts be put in place to ensure that they're taken when calls are made, they're taken off the street, and the public, they can be kept safe?
You see, there is a procedure in dealing with matters involving lunatics. You see, lunatics / mental cases. We respond to those reports. If they commit a crime, if they commit an offense, we process these lunatics, and the court has to deal with them. In relation to vagrants, dealing with vagrants is not only a police problem, a police issue. You see, the vagrants are they're human beings. They're entitled to social services. They're entitled to treatment. When you respond to dealing with vagrants, but other agencies must get involved and play their part. You pick up the vagrants from the street, providing he commits an offense. You take him to the court. The court has a responsibility to deal with him, and he's entitled to treatment. He's entitled to treatment. You send him to the psychiatric unit if he has a mental issue. If the court deems that he does not have a mental issue, but he may very well have a health issue, you send him to the prison for a particular amount of time, and then he's released again. So it's a recurring decimal. So different agencies must play their part.
Mr. Commissioner of Police, my question to you is that with the revelation this morning that some clothing items have been received and they are in your custody and they are being suspected of that of young Commissioner, do you guys have any resources and resource persons or whatever it is to be able to determine, God forbid, the worst case comes to our reality, that this young lady may be lying somewhere on the ground? Do you have any resources to troubleshoot in that area?
When you say lying on the ground, you mean?
Meaning, if, as I said, God forbid, the worst case scenario comes to reality, and this guy may have, killed this young lady and buried her somewhere, because she be without clothes or suspected to be without clothes. That is very troubling. And so I'm just asking whether you guys have any resources out there to help in the location of maybe if her body is buried somewhere.
First, let me say that I hope that she's alive. She's alive, and I also hope that we find her alive. I believe we'll find her. If we do not find her alive, Lord forbid, as you say, the worst case scenario is with us. We have to find the body wherever it is. We have to find the body. We'll use whatever resources we have to find the body. If and when we find the body, the investigation continues. We have resources to whatever remains we have, Lord forbid again. take samples and forward to areas in the region to give us positive identification. And that's what I can say on that.
But I think it's incumbent on all of us to give the family and loved ones a ray of hope that she's alive, you know. Yeah. And then we have to behave in such a manner to so indicate that she's alive and to pursue every lead with the highest degree of intensity and consistency. What I'm very much comforted by is by the fact that the search was uninterrupted. And then we had, of course, a situation whereby officers were being relieved on time, and officers, from what I've seen, very high-spirited. And I really want to commend the business houses for the manner in which they have been coming out, providing hot meals, water, support. Everyone is well fed. Let us hope that good spirit can continue to manifest itself in that practical way, and to ensure that we achieve the ultimate objective, which is to find this young girl alive and to get her back to home and to get her back to the classroom to socialize with her friends and to learn. And so we have added, of course, apart from the medical team, to ensure that the fire ambulance is also available with an ambulance in the event that she's found, and she has, of course, medical care has to be provided immediately to ensure that she's transported to the hospital to get the required medical attention. So the state, and from the ministerial standpoint and the state standpoint, we have to ensure that every required asset is available at the command center for a quick dispatch of this young girl when she is found. And as I said, and I cannot overemphasize this spirit of togetherness and urgency demonstrated by all, and we have to continue in that light. So as I speak, I just went out there to take a call, and a number of other people have joined in the effort. And from what I've fact, people saying that they're not even inclined to go to any party until this girl is found. You know what I'm saying? That is how urgent some people see it, and all of us are about to see it because it's just a terrible situation. Me too, want to commend the media fraternity. Commend the JS, and commend the secretary, the press secretary, all of CSF have been on the side. I've seen Mr. Tid there last night. And it tells us that, I mean, this thing is a national movement, for justice. And we have to, the other issue that I want to just stress this morning, in relation to the question that was posed to the chief of police, so far as veterans are concerned. Yes, the state has to respond, the police has a responsibility to respond to every report, and to do that quickly, and with dispatch and distribute every report seriously. But all the veterans you have in the street have family members too.
Yeah.
And so they too have a responsibility to work with the system to ensure that those people get the kind of care that they need, you know, someone said. But having said that, once a crime is reported, an offense is reported, the police has to ensure that the attention is given to that report, and that is made by anybody who is so aggrieved. But fundamentally, whenever something happens to one of the vehicles, family members emerge. See? And I think that is something all of us have to be mindful of. In any situation involving crime or acts of social deviance, etc., it always requires a societal response. Everybody comes from home. Everybody has families, etc. And everybody has friends. So if all of us work in concert to assist those who have fallen short, it makes it easier for society to carry on in a more organized and orderly manner. You understand? So that's what I wanted to say further to that. And to say and remind the action of the police, which is done consistently, is to ensure that every report is given the required attention.
Before you answer that question, in relation to the matter that we're now dealing with at Warner, let me emphasize that we are in a search, rescue, and capture mode. That is our priority right now. We're searching to rescue Kenisha and to bring her safe and to capture the suspect. That is what our focus is.
Thank you. Would you be able to give us a timestamp? We heard that this matter appeared late in the evening, and from that point in time when the family or neighbors contacted the police, as to what time did the search and rescue for the missing 12-year-old commence from the time you were aware of it?
From the search and rescue started from the offset of Dylan responding to the report. When the Maho police got the report, they immediately responded, and they had the information that the suspect had fled into the bushes with Kenisha. The search continues, started right there and went right on into the morning.
Well, we've been teaming up with our telecommunication providers because many have said that they've not received the text message, nothing. Will the police, are you all planning to team up with the Digicel Flow to see what else we can do to get the word across some more?
We're doing certain things behind the scenes. There are things I cannot say openly to the media.
And just to say also that in terms of to assist with identifying this suspect, that his photograph has to be posted all over the country and the world, and then to ensure that everybody recognizes him if he's seen. And I am, from what I've been advised, that the police has actually have good images of him by way of photograph that can be transmitted to the various outlets, social media platforms, and the media platforms, of course, and in the rum shops, in boutiques, on posts all over the country, to ensure that wherever that guy is seen, he will be recognized. And as the chief rightly said, the intention is to find this young lady alive and to capture this guy himself. And so that, of course, in terms of facial recognition, the police force is in a better position now to reproduce his images. So if it's seen, it can be recognized. So that is something. The other some information, of course, what I've been advised that cannot be actually transmitted now, and in terms of the guy's history and etc., where he was socialized before, etc., that is being finalized, and to give you a profile of the individual that we're dealing with, etc. The reason why I'm saying that, we have a number of situations where people who were deported into this country after having served time in a foreign country into this country. Sometimes when they travel with that very same disposition and criminal intent, and it just causes a lot of problems. So not only within the Dominican setting, but within the CARICOM setting itself. That's a situation that we, from the CARICOM ministers, from the CARICOM Council of Ministers, for national security and law enforcement. That is something we have been dealing with over the years, where you have people who have served jail time in the US and within Europe. After they have served their jail time, are deported to the respective member CARICOM states. In a number of instances, those individuals would have left those countries very, very young, and they were actually socialized in the foreign country. When they come back to the respective CARICOM member state, they have no friends. And they have no friends, but they come back with a particular trait, and that can be bad news for us in the Caribbean. So that is why the police has to continue when a crime is committed, be it robbery, be it a homicide, etc., to look at all the elements, all the variables, and not to actually just look at it from the standpoint of a simple crime. There are other issues that have to be considered from a holistic standpoint to give you a sense as to what the actual problem is, so it can be dealt with frontally from the root cause perspective. So that is something, from what I've been advised, that is being actually examined also. Okay, so the work has to continue, and to ensure that that crusade continues, this effort to locate this innocent child continues. And thank you very much, Chief of Police and Deputy Chief of Police. And I'm hoping that the police can have better news for us during the course of the day, that we speak to the location of this young girl in a safe, and she will be okay. So let us pray for the family members, let us pray for all, let us pray for the community of honor, and let us pray for this wonderful country. God bless us also. Thank you very much.